computer set on the lunch table, eat your hot beef and gravy. After the data is massaged, the screen reveals what's underneath the surface. A huge step forward in our ability to discover. And discover we have extraordinary artifacts. Mike Connor, Jody O'Gorman, a team of Michigan State University students with this museum undertaking an excavation as a site, motivated in part by one of the large questions. Why is there so much violence manifest in that nearby cemetery? In order to understand death, we have to look at life, and so they're looking at that community to try to get some sense about what happens at this place that may reveal to us the nature of the dynamics between those societies that somehow are together, juxtaposed to one another. Now, the other thing that Dickson would do, and is one of the great foundations of legacy here, is we have attendance records at this place, and I went back and got them all out, and I tallied up all of the numbers. The numbers are now far in excess of 5 million people have come to this place. I mean, that's the number of people that we know have come to this place. 5 million check marks in books, zip codes that we ask you for, your numbers will contribute to that tonight, have come to this place to learn about the past. They learned initially in this kind of explanation, a fellow talking about what he had seen and what he thought it meant, to the kinds of exhibits that you see on the exhibit floor of this institution, to the kinds of presentations that you're witnessing this evening. We continue to do such things, and I will tell you, I grabbed this with particular purpose. You'll notice the date says September 14th, 2014. We embarked on an ambitious new exhibit scale, too big a bite, but we intended to have it done and to be revealed tonight. Our goal was September 14th of 2015. We stopped working on those excavations in June because we turned our attention to closing the museum. This is a wonderful concoction by Kelvin Sampson, who used all sorts of digital magic to take a whole variety of images and piece them together in a mosaic, and to call this a new view of the land, building on the poster that was generated in 1994, a new view of the past. We will get there. The landscape as we see it, the Imaquan Gallery, which is well underway, the settlement exhibit here that you can see well underway. In the basement of this place, we have 10 rolls of latex bark, because we're going to build a wigwam in the Discovery Center. Have you been to the Pawnee Earth Lodge at the Field Museum? Well, it's a place where you can walk into a Pawnee Earth Lodge. We're going to have a wigwam in the middle of the Discovery Room that young and old alike will be able to sit down in and imagine, well, I bet we're going to get Joe Lakota to come here and tell us a story that will keep all of us enraptured to learn about. So these things are underway, and we have every intention of finishing them. The Imaquan Gallery, the log cabin with Kelvin working on it. The other thing I would tell you that is part of the legacy is the collection of this place. It is a fantastic collection. It is in growing order, and we have digital records of lots of things. We've reorganized things, put them in boxes, made them available, and I'm delighted to tell you that people are using the collection in all manner of way. In one instance, we're taking collections that we've been working with, and we're digitizing these things so that whole field seasons of records and notes and photographs are all digital. You could take a DVD, put it on your computer, go home, and you would have all of the resources of that site at your disposal. In other instances, the collection draw people's attention, and they're doing extraordinary things. Imagine this, a woman named Dorothy Washburn, an anthropologist. I was not familiar with her work, contacted us and said, I have a project. I'm very curious in looking at trace element composition. In particular, I'm looking for any evidence that people in Mesoamerica had an influence in North America. And what I want to do is come to your museum, and I'm going to bring vials of sterile water, and I'm going to pour that water into your pots. And I'm going to take your pots and I'm going to squish them around. And then I'm going to pour that water back into the vial, and I'm going to go to my husband, who happens to be an analytical chemist, with a mass spectrometer, a fancy scientific machine to look at elemental composition. We're to put that vial in the mass spec, and we're going to see how the water has been altered. And then, maybe there'll be things in there. Well, you sit there and you think, hold it, this pot, which was in the ground for several hundred years, and then it's been on our shelf, is it possible that there could be the chemical constituents of something that was in that pot? So, Dorothy comes here, she takes a bunch of pots, swishes them around, goes back, sends us a note back, and says, boy, there's interesting stuff in that water. And we think it's cocoa. So, that's pretty interesting. Well, the reviewers thought it was pretty interesting too, because they said, you know what, we're not compelled. So, Dorothy calls me back and said, okay, the reviewers did the articles, not accepted, got to look at it. I'm going to send you back new vials. And each one of them will have a cotton swab in sterile water. I want you to take it out. Take a latex glove, put it on. I want you to go and wipe down the surfaces of the drawers where the pots were and the tops of it to see if there's any latent Coca-Cola or candy bars, Dwayne, or anything else in the collections area that might have contaminated these ancient pots. So we did that. Wiped them all around, sent it back, put it in the mass spectrometer. No cocoa. So this is published, Chemical Analysis of How Residues in Archaeological Ceramics from North America. Who knows? It's extraordinary stuff. That these collections hold secrets that if you had asked me on a graduate examination if this were possible, I would have said absolutely not. Obviously, that's not the right answer. One of the other things that we've done is to create this incredible file out of our data. Just pass by it. It is an online record of the archaeological resources of this state. It includes plat maps and atlases from every county, so we can look at the historical landscape. It has sites and a whole variety of other information. Continues to grow every day. Has changed the way we do archaeological work. We've just put the metadata up with it. There are 600 references to all of the plat maps and atlases of Illinois. So now every archaeologist, I hope to tell you, they will bless me. I'm looking for this blessing because they've all, in the past, they've had to write out all of those citations, let alone find them and then write them all out. All you have to do now is go to the web, cut, paste, done. I'll expect accolades. The future. So we've traveled, and forgive me because it's been a long odyssey. We've seen Charybdis, we've seen the Sirens, who knows what's less, Jason, the Argonauts perhaps. The future is muddy. Last week, I attended a meeting in Springfield with the Department of Natural Resources. You know the saga. It has been going on for a period of time. The high points or low points, if you will, are that this state is mired in enormous fiscal difficulties. There are pension debts, there are budgets that have been out of balance for years, there are colossal sums of money owed, there is an economy which has not been particularly vibrant, and there is a new administration which is determined to change that. I think we have to applaud changing and improving. However, when that budget was first released, the museum's budget in the governor's budget was were in there. It was a $1 million cut and a loss of head count, and that was the point of negotiation that the administration had advanced. When the budget was passed by the legislature, when a budget was passed by the legislature, it is $4 billion in arrears. In reaction to that, the current administration decided that if that was the way the game would be played, that they would insist that cuts be made in every agency in Illinois government. And the Department of Natural Resources decided that one of those cuts would be the Illinois State Museum. This is all old news to you. I will tell you that the museum staff has been humbled by the enormous outpouring that citizens have blessed us with over the last months. The Commission on Accountability and Facility Closing, as many of you know, convened. They sought public testimony, all of which was in opposition to closing the museum system. There were 700 plus pages of testimony sent in by a great many of you, extolling the virtues and importance of this place, its significance, the quality of the staff. All of us have read every one of those and have been humbled. This job is an immense privilege, and we don't lose sight of the fact that you pay for us, and we try to give back the best way we can, but to hear that outpouring, extraordinary stuff. One of the websites petition, the Save the Museum petition ended up with something like 12,000 likes. Enormously important stuff. But this is a battle. And all of that outpouring notwithstanding, the issue about settling the budget issue has moved inexorably forward. And one of our great worries has been that the museum may have no future. But I would tell you, in a meeting last week, many of the museum staff were invited to go to the Department of Natural Resources. The Chief of Staff of the Department of Natural Resources spoke to us, and he applauded us and said that the issues are budgetary. And it is the hope that if there is a budget that gets put together, that we have opportunities in the future. So I would tell you, and I picked this image with care, that the flame is not extinguished. The torch that was ignited by the Dickson excavations here in 1927 still burns on. It is small compared to what it is on a vibrant day, but it is not extinguished. I have no idea of how, when, and so I can tell you I can't reveal any hidden secrets here, but I came away from the meeting with confidence that we will be able to move forward and to again rise to this podium and talk about what we do, which it's apparent you find of some interest, and we will continue to try to reveal the record of human history in this place. So undying thanks from all of us who have been a part of this institution. We will be going on vacation, euphemistically. We have things to do, as you can imagine. We will do them, and we will look forward to getting the word that we're back in business. And when we do, we will yell it from the hilltop and encourage you to rejoin us again in this place. Thank you for your patience and your support. Dennis.
Alan, do you know what kind of provisions they make for security?
Yes. 3 people in the